Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. Hope you're all well today. This is my day 2 of my celery juice. It's going really well. Got my hair washed and blow dried today and feeling like a new woman. It's amazing what happens when you get your hair washed. So I had a session myself this morning on the bed. I did a lovely walk around the park with my friend. Still on my celery juice. I managed to do the celery juice this morning at 11:30. Last night was my last meal at 7 o'clock. 11:30 was my celery juice and no breakfast. I managed to do no breakfast. And I went till 6 o'clock today before I actually had some food. So the celery juice actually filled me up. So you can nearly put that in as your breakfast. It's actually quite filling. So I don't know whether any of you out there have tried it. The celery juice that I was talking about yesterday in my video is 16 ounces of just celery juice. You do it first thing in the morning. Don't have any drink or anything. It has to be done on an empty stomach. Put it into your cold press or your NutriBullet, and use the pulp that you get from your NutriBullet and squeeze it out through a muslin cloth, or you can put it into a sieve like I did. It was quite hard yesterday because I was actually sieving it into a bowl. So it took a bit of muscle, but I managed to get 16 ounces. And again today, I have a cold press juicer, which actually does a better job of it, but it's not with me. So I have to grin and bear it until I get that back. So that's an easier version if you want to do it. You need to drink 16 ounces in the morning before you eat, before you drink anything, and that will clear the toxins in your liver right out. If you can do that once every day, great, first thing in the morning. I always like to do, when I'm doing any form of cardio, if it's a walk or whatever, I always like to do that first thing in the morning before I eat anything. So I did my cardio first, I did a quick walk around Malahide Park, and then I had my celery juice when I got back, and it managed to do me. So I didn't even need to have any breakfast. Actually, it was quite filling because it does the job of actually putting something into your stomach. So another thing, this is what's coming up, which I was talking about yesterday. All the emotional energy is coming up. Anything that's triggering you is coming up. It can be happening in your family. Obviously, we're seeing so many triggers and so much negative energy purging, dense energy, injustices, inequalities. All of the dark energies are all bubbling up to the surface. We see that in the world now, but that's also happening in the human body. So when that's happening, you might find that at home, in your house, it's happening. People in your family, you can be your husband, your wife, your partner, it can be your parents. You may be a bit of clashing going on, and that's totally normal, because what's happening is in a relationship, say for instance in a relationship, there's never two people evolving at the same time in exactly the same way. Most times, say for instance with me and my husband, most times with us, I would be more spiritually evolved. I would say he would be a little bit under, so I'm sort of pulling him up and trying to make him believe in what I believe in. But sometimes, you know, they have their own minds, they want to believe in their own way and their own beliefs they have. So you can't pull them up to your level if that's not resonating with them. They've got to come up in their own time. And as I always say to some of my Reiki students when I'm doing courses, the saying my auntie taught me, and my auntie Ethel would have taught us, the constant dropping of the water wears away the hardest stone. So if you just speak your truth in the way you feel, the way you portray things, the way you perceive things to be happening in the world, and it doesn't resonate with the other person, it may not just resonate with them right now. It may take a few times of you saying it in different ways for them to go, oh yeah, I get you. One of the things being that I would see, and I know people out there may not resonate with me, but I would see Donald Trump, even though he's a total goon and he is so egotistical, as somebody who is causing, not that I would say a light worker or maybe more of a white hat, but I would say that actually what he is doing in the world, especially in America, is causing people to think. And he says these silly things and he throws them out there, and then it causes people to react. But without Donald Trump, we wouldn't have people reacting. So I would see him as coming in here as a spiritual warrior to do a service, to make people come up and evolve into the people that were there meant to be, to come out fighting and say, no, it is wrong and this is the way we believe it to be. So that's on a grand scale of things. So, you know, say for instance, in my house, my husband would have a different perception of Donald Trump. He would think he's a total goon, and it absolutely would never ever put him on the same lines as and my spiritual thinking. So one of the things that you've got to do in those situations, you don't have to make your partner, your friend, your loved one, your child, believe what you believe. You've got to step into your own power and believe what you believe, and that's your truth. Step into it and see how it feels for you. And if you really believe it and it resonates with you, that's okay, because remember that we're all here on our own personal spiritual journey. We can't pull somebody with us. That's their free will. They've got to do it in their own time. So when I say the constant dropping of the water wears away the hardest stone, that is Confucius, is the quote by him. When you say that, when I say that, is what I mean is the constant dropping of the water. So the more I say it, eventually it will go in. And if it doesn't resonate, it may not go in. It's like when I speak to some of my Reiki students, or when I'm speaking to you out there, some of the stuff that I might say, you go, oh God, she's off her head. But I believe it, and that's okay. And I would never say what you believe is wrong, because that's your journey. That's what you believe, and that is totally okay. Because wouldn't the world be a very boring place if we all came in here believing the same things, all looking exactly the same, all with the same colour skin? We all have to be different to have that contrast, so that's okay. But if you're involved in your house where there is a bit of argy-bargy, or there is purging going on, and you're feeling that stress, or you're feeling the anxieties and things that's going around, and you are purging this up, and then there's a bit of this clashing of opinions, is what I want to say. Clashing of opinions. If that happens, I was looking at, it's so funny because validations is happening all over the place. Totally happening, my experience today, and I only saw one of Laurie Ladd's videos where she says exactly the same. If something is happening like that, and you're in an experience where you're coming into a clash with somebody, whether it's a work colleague, whether it's your partner, whether it's your child, whether it's somebody that is in your family, a relationship that you have with somebody, and there's a clash between you, try not to be emotionally involved in it. Try to take a breath, step out of it, and look in on the situation. And what would you do if you're looking down, and what would you do differently if you got rid of the emotion? Because most times what happens is, and I remember this from way back when I did my marriage counselling course, the therapist said, in Ireland, you have to do a marriage counselling course before you get married. It's sort of a legal thing. And we did a marriage counselling course, and she said, you got to hold the card. So when somebody is talking, you got to hold the card while you're talking, and the other person then takes the card when they want to talk, and they say, what you said to me is blah, 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 blah. So what they do is they repeat everything that you just said, because most times in any form of clashing or arguments or anything like that, you don't hear the other person's point of view. You don't hear what they want to say. You just want to hear what you want to get your point across. And there's a lot of this boom, boom, clashing, because you're not listening to what the other person, you're just trying to make them believe what you feel is right for you. So in my marriage counselling course, the therapist said, you've got to give the person the card and let them speak. And when they speak, they've got to repeat back what you just said. So then you know that they heard you. So that was a really brilliant tip, especially going into a marriage, because most times all you want to do is fire things at each other, as in, like, out of your mouth, not physically firing things at each other, but out of your mouth, that you want to say your piece, or you're in your work and you want to shout from the rooftops that this is not you're not happy with this isn't serving you, and you want to say it, but then your boss might be saying, well, this is the way it is, and then you have this constant where it's grating, and it's rubbing up against each other, and it's not actually melding together, right? So what I would say to you is, again, try to not be emotionally attached into the midst of it, especially if there's some form of trigger, some form of clashing. Try not to be emotionally involved, to take a step out and look in and take yourself into your heart space. Take a breath in, breathe, because most times we don't breathe when we're in those situations. Breathe, and then take your perspective from the heart perspective. I said that before, but it gave it to me in a different way. One of my other meditations, they said everything must be done from the heart. So if you take a breath in, you breathe from the heart, and then you look at the situation from the heart. I know that's hard when you're in the midst of something, if there's any form of clashing going on. you got to take it and really feel it, what's happening in your heart, because when you bring it into your heart, you're connected to source. And when you're connected to source, you look at it from the heart perspective. So try to do that if you can, because there is a lot of purging that's coming up, and especially if you're in a home environment where you're with your partner, you're with your children, and that's coming up to the surface, and you find that there's a bit of, purging, and then there's clashing, and you don't really know why, because this energy has to come up and come out. As I said to you yesterday, if you feel that you're angry, if you feel that you're frustrated, if you feel like you're stressed and you have anxiety, feel it. Don't try to hide it. Oh no, I'm okay. As we always do. Oh no, I'm fine. When actually you're not fine. Get your time to yourself, batten down the hatches, take a few breaths, do a bit of meditation, and try to bring in the energy back into your heart space, because when you do that, you really do connect to your higher self, and you connect to source. One of the other things that a few of my clients actually have been saying, that they really feeling it in the house. So as this purging is happening, it's coming up and coming out of your auric field. And if you do like what I do every day, I brush myself off, I brush my aura down, I really try to get rid of any of the energy that's on my auric field that's not serving me. So I get rid of it, whether it's through grounding or whether it's through just brushing yourself off, sweeping down the aura. And that's really easy to do, where you brush your aura all the way down like you're brushing your skin off. And by brushing your aura, you're saying, I want the energy gone, the negative energy that's attached to my aura. One of the other ways is my trusted friend here. This is sage, white Californian sage. And what I do is, when I feel like there's a lot of energy, not only from me purging energy up, or especially if I'm here in my Reiki room, somebody's had a really big session on the bed, I would always sage the room afterwards. Because what sage does is, the white Californian sage especially, is so good at getting rid of negative energy. So easy to use. I'll show you here quickly. You set it on fire just at the end, and you burn it like this, and you let it smolder, and then you rub it around your aura like this. And as the smoke from the sage comes off onto your auric field, it takes with it negative energy. And what I do normally is, I go around my house with it, especially if there's any energies in rooms. I go around my house with it. And by the way, as it's smouldering there, always make sure at the end you put it out, you stomp it down into a plate, a saucer, and you make sure it's gone out, because sometimes it does smoulder and it burns on the inside of it, and you could set yourself on fire or set your house on fire. So try not to do that. So Californian white sage, that is, you can get that in big chunks like that. It's really good. My battery's about to go here, so that's going to shut me off very quickly. The Californian white sage is, maybe I'll just turn this off. And off, there it is. Californian white sage is amazing for energy, for getting rid of energy. And what I would do is, after you've saged the room, you would open your windows and your doors. So what you're doing is, you're letting out the energy. As it's going out the window, it takes with it negative energy. And that's always good for where people who move it into new houses, where they feel, oh, it's an old house, you don't know what's in the walls, you don't know what energy it's storing. It's really good to sage every room, every closet, to make sure there's no negative energy in it. And I'm not meaning ghosts and ghouls, but I'm just mean energy that, you don't know what the walls are holding. Walls, books, furniture, beds, everything holds energy. It's amazing that you always should make sure you sage it if it wasn't belonging to you before, because you never know what energy is on it. So white sage, that's a really good for doing this, getting rid of energy. And also, as I said, as this purging is happening, try to remember to step out of it. Try to, if you're in the midst of something that's going on in a relationship, or going on in your work, going on in your family, and there's a bit of clashing going on, try to step out of it. Try to look in on it as if you're watching it as a movie, and try and be heart-centered. And when you're heart-centered, you don't be the ego side of the brain. You don't jump into that, and you don't go down the road of acting with emotion and acting with the wrong emotion, then acting from the heart space. So hope that'll help you today. It definitely helped me. The sage definitely did. And I'll come back on tomorrow. I want to talk about crystals, because I've got all my crystals in. And if you have any comments that you would want to talk about, as in any crystals that you want me to talk about, leave me a message in the comment box underneath. And I will be doing this week a little competition where I'll be giving away some crystals and a Reiki voucher, because thanks be to God, I will be back to work very soon. So until then, namaste.